text this morning is from the book of Psalms, Psalm 98, verses 4 through 6. Shout to the Lord, all the earth. Break out in praise and sing for joy. Sing your praise to the Lord with the harp and melodious song, with trumpets and the sound of the ram's horn. Make a joyful symphony before the Lord, the King. This is the word of God. Thanks be to the Lord.
Anyway, would you join me in a moment of prayer? Oh God, today we've gathered in your holy presence. We've got stuff to do and things distracting us and things that aren't perfect. But we seek to give you our hearts. We seek to know that all that we can do to honor you, we're doing, and that you will accept us and our stuff just as we are. And we are so blessed that you love us so. Quiet us now as we rest in your word and wonder and dream and then begin to live. For we do all of this in the name of Jesus. Amen. Some of you know, some of you don't know, Carrie is a great Bob Dylan fan. Loves Bob Dylan. Loves Bob Dylan. Has thousands of his recordings. Most of the rest of us in the family we humor him about that. And our daughter-in-law, Michelle, is a great impersonator of Bob Dylan for Carrie. But several years ago, we had the opportunity to go to a Bob Dylan concert. It was, they called it the Nautica Stage. It's right on the Cuyahoga River, down in the flats. And so we went. It was a lovely summer evening. We were not able to have seats together. And I got to sit in the bleachers. I haven't been back there since then, but nonetheless, there I was. I fortunately, praise God, was on the end. Right next to me were a man and a woman. I think they were a couple. And it was clear from the moment I sat down that she was not a happy camper. She was not having a good time. She didn't want to be there. I don't know what the scoop was. It was just not really fun right next to me. And then right in front of me, just a little bit off center, is this couple. And there was one person on the end, but this couple basically kind of right in front of us. And the bleachers you are very friendly in the bleachers. Today in pandemic and COVID, we'd all be having nervous breakdowns to be that close to other people, but then that's how it was. The moment the music started, this couple that was down in front had the most outrageously great time that they could have. Their space got a little bit expanded as they wooed and hooed and hollered and up and down and dancing, and then sometimes when they couldn't even contain that much, they had to step out into the steps of the bleacher. The person that was on their end seat, I think, went somewhere else because they needed enough room to have this amazing time. They really, truly had a fabulous time. The rest of us around them were just trying to stay in our little square of bleacher space. But this couple, they were so delighted to be at this concert, and they enjoyed every single moment of it. I think what I enjoyed about the concert, because who knows what Bob Dylan's singing, even in a recording, but certainly let alone in a concert, you have no clue what he's singing. What I enjoyed was seeing this couple delight in their time there. I honestly was pretty miserable sitting next to the unhappy folks on my left and the horribly uncomfortable bleacher seats. But the folks in front of me, they just shared uninhibited delight and joy. They loved that concert, and they had a wonderful time. And I'm willing to bet you they talk about that great time even all these years later. So today, again, we're reading in Psalm 98, but we're reading verses 4 through 6. It's beautiful words, lovely, lovely words. But I want to share a more modern paraphrase from the Message. Shout your praises to God. Everybody, let loose and sing. Strike up the band. Round up an orchestra to play for God. And add 100-voice choir. Feature trumpets and big trombones. Fill the air with praises to King God. I can't but help but think of these two folks at that concert. They were singing and praising and letting loose. Thank God they didn't have instruments, because they'd have been playing them up one side and down the other. Can you ever think of a time that you really just let loose? You let go. You radiated delight. You radiated joy. It's probably hard for you to name a moment. One that comes to mind to me frequently is, 12 years ago, Carrie and I, we took a giant vacation, and we took 21 days, and we went to Europe. We went to visit some friends in Germany, and then we traveled around, and then we went to Edinburgh, Scotland, and we had a couple of days in London, and then we went back to Hamburg, and that's where we flew home from. And I can tell you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that as we were sitting on the plane on the runway in Hamburg at 5 in the morning or something like that, I turned to Carrie and I just went, we're going home. If I need to push the plane, I'll do that, but we're going home. Because after 21 days of traveling, and traveling in countries where we had to translate and speak and struggle, even today I can just go, oh, the plane is up, yay! I'm just bursting out with joy. I think the people around me were like, that woman is very weird. But can you think of a time where you just let it all go? You radiated delight. You radiated joy. Most of us, and me most of the time, I'll be honest, tend to be more sedate. We tend to be a little bit more controlled. But this psalm, especially these verses, it's a bust out in joy, let loose your delight, break forth from singing kind of psalm. It is as if the psalmist even says nature is going to sing God's song, God's new song of love and God's new song of life. Does that work for you? Are you singing God's song in your life these days? And let alone the Lord's new song in the world today. Do you have love in your song? Do you have love for God, love for others? It is really infectious to be around who is sharing delight and joy in life. It rubs off on you. Some of that Bob Dylan concert wasn't so miserable because that couple in front just had the best time in the world. It catches you. It just kind of moves you and starts to set you on fire. And I don't know if you know this, but Psalm 98 is the scripture that is the basis for Joy 2, which we're going to sing in like 64 days, my friends. Shocker. And it's just like this. Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room. And heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing. You can't but think of joy when that song comes out, and that's why this scripture feeds our energy and our passion. I talked some previously about the subversive act of joy. A joy that you live even though everything around you and everything in the world says, no, things are bad, we're fighting, we can't get along, we still have this pandemic, and everybody's in an uproar about this, that, and the other, and my goodness, we're not going to get any of our Christmas things because they're stuck on container ships somewhere, or in a trucking, or, we can name all these things that will tell us, don't find joy. We can also name the things that have harmed our hearts. Somebody we're missing, or a really hard life change, or a job loss, or these kinds of things. And yet this psalm says, I invite you to claim the joy of the Lord in all circumstances and in all ways. Joy that allows you to breathe the name of God underneath all the stuff that's above. Joy that allows you to cling to God even when there's trouble and problems in your life. It's just an invitation to live differently than the world says, because the world says, focus on all these bad things and get pulled down and think there's no hope and there's nowhere to go. But the psalmist sings, and the psalmist asks you to sing with joy, because what other way is there to say, oh God, the marvelous things you have done for me, for the world. I have life, I have breath, I have shelter, I have food. I can help other people have shelter. I can help other people have food. What a marvelous thing you've done, oh God. And this psalm says, sing no matter what's happening in your life. Sing no matter what's happening in the world. Don't let doom and devastation and even desperation stop the song of God. Living joyfully, claiming the love of God, is the greatest honor that we can give, said the mystic Julian of Norwich. She was from the 14th century. Juliana, sorry. This is really not an everything is wonderful and that everything is okay and that faith is easy and great and fun. No, it's actually about the work of faith. It's about the work of loving God. It's about the work of praising God every single day. It's praying even when you're tired, even when you're afraid, even when your heart is broken, even when you are scared. It is doing the work of connecting with Scripture. Maybe it's just one verse. Maybe it's a whole chapter. Every day. The new upper rooms are out there, so if for those of you who are in person, you can get one on your way out, and it's just got a little snippet of Scripture. Maybe you want a first 15. There's still some out there, and we can get more. It's the work of faith, of serving, reading, praying, living, giving, witnessing, even when, every day, even when. When you put all of these pieces and parts together, you can give God joy even in hard and difficult circumstances. You can offer delight. You can live out subversive joy contrary to what might be happening in your life, contrary to what's going on in your community, in your world. You can make it through the day knowing that God is with you and you are not ever alone. So in a moment, I'm going to invite you to take a look at something called some subversive joy. Actually, it's not a bit subversive. It is right way out there. It's incredibly outrageous. And as you see it, you're going to see how infectious it is. That is a children's group singing the Tooty song. It's generally a preschool song. It's an actual real song. and they sing tooty-ta, and thumbs up, elbows back, and it goes through a whole series of movements. I'm sure our preschool children love it just as it is. So you can see that little girl. She, is just busting out in joy. And she is radiating energy and delight. And she's just singing the song. She is having the best time in the world. I want you to note that right next to her was another little girl. She was not having the best time in the world. She was not a bit delighted. She was not busting out in song. She was actually probably kind of terrified, and she had her stuffed animal critter, and it was up in front of her face. I'm really grateful she had that with her to comfort her in that really scary time. And here I am telling you about Bust Out in Joy, and I point out that little girl that has just the most amazing time. That's a YouTube video, and you can find it yourself if you want to see the whole thing. But I'm here to tell you that most often, I'm the little girl right next to her with the animal in front of my face. I'm not really good at busting out in joy. I really like to be quiet. I like to be calm. I like to kind of mind my own business about faith. I'm really not good at praising and singing with abandonment. I can't clap on the beat very well. I might start out, but about 6 measures in, I'm already off. And you should never, ever look at me for direction on clapping. I will get it wrong. And so because I know I get it wrong, I kind of don't want to do it because it's going to mess up. When I was in high school in marching band, I played a flute, and you had to move your flute a certain way. And there's a picture of me, unfortunately, in my yearbook about how hard I'm concentrating to get the movement right. Can't burst out in joy there. It's work, and you got to pay attention to it. So the call of Psalm 98 to burst out in joy with God's news, it's really hard for me, I have to be honest. How about you? Is it hard for you to burst out in joy? The interesting thing is that this scripture passage kind of talks about us like an orchestra. An orchestra has many different instruments. And all the instruments are needed to create the orchestra. You need the violins, and you need the violas, and you need the trumpets, and you need the percussion, and you need the timpani, and you need the oboe, and the bassoon. You need them all. They all need to come together to create the song. Our whole faith life, we are invited to be a part of God's song. And actually God's song as it becomes new, as it lives and moves and responds to the rhythm of our lives, of the world's life, and to and survive and flourish in the cacophony of ideas, not losing touch with the undergirding, the grounding beat of God's song described by Psalms, Psalm 98, and also the gospel that we find, that we proclaim. The good news is that in God's orchestra, there is room for all of us. There's room for that little girl who is just busting out all over the place, can barely contain herself in that space, and the little girl who's right next to her. The little girl who's right next to her. We are all part of God's song. We are all part of the music, right here, right now. We are the orchestra, different instruments, but everyone is essential and needed at a particular time for a particular action to share God's love and song for all. In our particular group of believers, we have folks who sing the song of numbers. They keep up with what happens to the numbers and what they mean for us. Are they the clarinets that move us steadily along? We have basses to undergird our lives with gifts, with support. We have pianos and drums that bring us into music to push us and pull us along as we struggle to sing or delight in singing. We are flutes that lead us forward in prayer. We are trumpets which call us to care for the least, the last, and the lost. To call us to take care of the refugees that are arriving on the west side, and the family in Africa that's welcoming a new baby. We are violas leading in the work of caring for this physical space. God's orchestra is right here, right now. Each instrument offering, working, creating together the praise and adoration of God. This is the season of stewardship in the life of the church. And this is the invitation to think, to pray, to act upon how you will play your instrument in God's orchestra. How will you praise God? How will you do it given the circumstances of your life? And more importantly, will anybody around you be able to know that you love, serve, and sing for God? Will anybody know that? Will anybody hear that? I'm bursting with God news. This is a modern paraphrase of what Mary says after the angel Gabriel has visited her and said, Mary, you're going to bear the Son of God. Remember, she's really young, 12, 13 years old. She's engaged, but not yet married to Joseph. And by being pregnant outside the confines of marriage, her very life is profoundly at risk. How does she respond? She chooses outrageous, subversive joy in the face of some incredibly difficult months that are ahead of her, not knowing whether she'll live or not. She lives forward with God. She lives with God. She lives because of God, and she sings the Lord's new song. If ever there was a time in the world, a time in our lives, a time in our community for us to bust out with God news, I believe it is certainly now. We have the way, so let's live it, give it, move it, get out there, play your instrument. In your way, burst out in joy. Maybe it's singing the Tooty song, maybe it's holding your animal in your face, but reminding somebody else who's in trouble that they are not alone. But bust out with God's good news. So I invite you to go out today and sing the song of God that is in your life. What instrument are you? Are you the loud trumpet? Are you the quiet oboe? Are you the undergirding viola? I don't know. You know what instrument you are. But you need to go out and sing the Tooty ta song. Tooty, tooty ta, tooty ta, tooty ta ta. The love of God, the joy of God, in all circumstances, the presence of God. For the world needs it. And who but us, you and I, can carry it forth? Go singing, praising, and dancing, whether it's really bold and loud or it's kind of quiet. But get out there and sing for God. Amen.